What's up, guys? Welcome to WKNC. I'm DJ Sharkbite, and today I'm joined by Alex Rossiter and Nat Esten from Saved by the 90s. Just ahead of their performance headlining at Packapalooza, let's get to know this band a little better together. Hey guys, welcome, and thanks for talking to me today.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, so where are you guys from originally?
So we're based out of New York City, where we have been for about 15 years at this point, and I think this is going to be our first time down in Raleigh, so we're pretty excited.
Oh wow, what brings you guys down to North Carolina?
Packapalooza. That's what.
Packapalooza. We've heard
Yeah.
so much about this crazy fun event, and so this will be our first time in town.
That's awesome. How familiar are you guys with NC State?
You know, I have some family that actually live in Wake Forest, so I'm excited to see all them too. And otherwise, not super familiar though with NC State. So we're looking forward to seeing the community and getting to know everyone.
That's awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to Packapalooza as well. It should be a lot of fun. How long have you guys been making music?
We've been together actually as a group since 2010,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, so we're a group of friends. Most of us met in college at Berklee College of Music, and when we moved to New York, we started this band as sort of a lark, and we were playing in bars, and then those bars turned into clubs, and those clubs turned into theaters, and so now we have a touring operation with different bands based in New York, Los Angeles, Boston, Austin, and Columbus, Ohio, and we travel the whole country performing our favorite songs from the 1990s.
That's incredible. Have you guys done many other projects, or is Saved by the 90s kind of your focus?
Saving the 90s is definitely the focus. We've tried a few other things, but, there's something about the 90s that has just really clicked with our demographic. People sort of between the ages of 25 and 45 or so. There seems to be like a lot of nostalgia for that kind of music, and we personally all just kind of grew up with that and love that style of music. So really Saving the 90s is the focus.
That makes sense. So you guys grew up with this music. It's kind of what made you start making music?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
these are the albums that I was going to my local record store and buying, and that's still some of the same music that we're playing to this day. And conversely, playing in this band has allowed me to appreciate a lot of music that came out when I was a kid that I didn't listen to. It's really kind of painted a more broad picture of what was coming out in the 90s and the different styles and different ways to appreciate it.
So who would you say are some of your favorite bands from the 90s?
well, we don't want to spoil too much about what we got coming up in the set list, but we try and perform all different styles of the 90s. So I would say some of my personal favorites that we play are, just to give you like a sampling, would be Third Eye Blind, the Spice Girls, Spin Doctors, and let's say Collective Soul.
Oh,
I think
wow.
that's a good it's a good sampling. Like we try and cast a pretty wide net.
Yeah, that's quite a variety.
Exactly.
I heard somewhere that at some of your shows, dressing up like it's the 90s is encouraged. Is that true? And do a lot of people do it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it helps make a more inclusive kind of environment for everyone. It's a fun sort of style to dress up in these sort of bright colors from the 90s. And, the whole band will be dressed up, and we would really encourage anyone and everyone to come dressed up, in your favorite 90s gear.
That's awesome. You guys have performed a lot of places all over the United States. What is one of the most memorable venues that you've played at?
I think I would say that one of our favorite places to play, and we've played this place all over the country, is the House of Blues.
Oh, wow.
Um, and the day before we're playing at Packapalooza, we're playing in Myrtle Beach at the House of Blues, and that will be the final House of Blues. We played in all we will have played in all of the House of Blues in the whole country once we play that show.
Wow, that is incredible. Traveling around sounds like an interesting time. Are there any cities that you got to see for the first time because of your band?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So many.
So many. I mean, we've been so fortunate to fly down to, we got to play in Universal Studios. We've gotten to play down in Mexico in the past. We've played in the Bahamas. I mean, we're going to in a couple weeks to Bismarck, North Dakota, and
that'll be a lot of this Saturday. Yeah, we're going.
Oh wow!
Bismarck. Yeah, so, we did Hawaii a few years ago. We've done Paris, France.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. We're very fortunate.
So out of all of this traveling, is there some place that stands out to you as like very interesting and maybe not what you thought it was when you first traveled there?
Well, I can't think of a specific, but sort of in general, I think what this allows us to do is to go and visit places that maybe we wouldn't have thought to visit before. And we end up loving these communities. Like, I remember the first time we went to Akron, Ohio, I was thinking, like, I don't know if I would ever have chosen to plan a trip to this lovely town. And now, we love places like that, and we're always welcomed with open arms. And we find that there are just like lovely people all over this country that are just sort of really willing to meet new people and try new things. And it's been a blast.
Yeah. That sounds incredible. In addition to all of this travel, you guys have gotten to work with a lot of really interesting, famous artists who were making music in the 90s. Who have been some of your favorite to work with?
I think our all-time favorite is Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray.
Oh, wow.
We've gotten a chance to play with him a few times, and he's just a real gem of a person, incredibly kind and gracious and sweet. And so we've played with him a few times. We're actually getting to perform with him again in January on the 90s Cruise, which is a cruise that's leaving from Tampa. We're really looking forward to that.
That sounds like a great time. Do you guys still get starstruck every time you meet someone who was making music in the 90s?
Yeah, it's funny because these are folks that we would see on our television sets when we grew up, right? People that were on MTV, and I remember when we met for the first time we met Coolio, and I was so starstruck. And a lot of these guys, they couldn't be more humble. They're just so really excited to be there and be a part of what we're doing and to celebrate that music. I mean, this is music that they put out, 20, 30 years ago, and people to this day are still consuming and enjoying music that they wrote. So it's always a pleasure to meet and hang out with these people and find that they're just like so down to earth and cool to work with.
Wow, that sounds so incredible. I'm wondering, what kinds of concerts were you able to go to when you were younger and when you were growing up in the 90s and sort of first consuming this music? Are there any standouts in terms of shows you got to go see?
Yeah, Alex and I were actually, long before we met, we were at the same concert in Massachusetts in 1999. It was a local radio show called Loco Bazooka, and it was Slipknot and System of a Down and Machine Head and Alex, who else was there? I feel like I'm forgetting somebody.
I think Primus was the headliner.
Yeah, Primus was, and so we, that was like a real time capsule. And Alex and I, when we met many years later, realized we had been at the same exact show in 1999.
That's so funny, and that is an insane lineup.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, that is quite a lineup. What sort of got you started with doing music? You said that you went to college for it. What led you there?
I was playing trumpet. I still play trumpet occasionally, but in my school band. And I remember my parents said, "Hey, if you play trumpet in school for a couple of years, you can then pick an instrument, like a rock instrument or something. And so I chose the bass guitar because everybody needs a bassist, right? And
That's true.
so I'm playing in high school. I just ended up being obsessed with the bass guitar in high school, so much so that it led me to Berkeley, where I then thankfully met some of my best buds in Nat and Danny, who was our partner over on the West Coast, and yeah, we just took it from there.
That's Yeah, I mean, a love of music is how you get there. What um what is one of the your favorite songs that you've gotten to perform that really stands out to you as like, wow, I got to do this song?
I think that I mean, we try and mix it up a lot. We've played over 300 songs throughout our time together. Um, but I think that some of the coolest experiences have been performing some of these songs with their writers, and I think one of the coolest ones we ever did was with Dolores O'Riordan, the singer, the late singer of Cranberries. We performed with her at an event a few years ago, and it ended up being her final performance. So that was like a true honor to be able to play with someone so legendary.
Wow.
That became like a real memory for all of us.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Have you been ever given advice or uh, even stories from any of these artists that you might not have heard otherwise?
Yeah.
Oh man, advice, advice, maybe not so much, but the stories are always really great to hear. Again, while I can't pinpoint one, we've played a couple shows with Pauly Shore, and I could listen to that guy talk for hours. I mean, he's just done so much and seen so many people and so many things during his career that it just pours out of him, and it's always just such a pleasure to listen to him speak and tell a story.
So true. So true.
Yeah, people have lived some really interesting lives. Um, if you could work with anyone um, at all, is there a dream person to collaborate with that you haven't gotten to yet?
Good question. I'm not sure. I think that there are a number of people who are, there are a number of people who we've worked with, and we hope to work with them again. Like I said, we're really, really looking forward to being on the cruise again with the likes of Sugar Ray and with Smash Mouth, who we've opened for, and TLC, who we've opened for. But it's hard to say if we have a specific person in mind that would be like a dream collaborator, because it's always sort of just like, who's been available when we meet them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say the normal demographic or crowd at your shows is? Do you find that there are mostly just people who grew up in the 90s there, or are there also people who are younger who just admire the 90s who show up?
Yeah,
There's definitely no, there's definitely no normal customers. I feel like we see all kinds of people, young and old, or no, not old, but like it's very diverse group. Sometimes we're playing for colleges, like this weekend or like next weekend, but also sometimes we're playing, for people who are our age, which is like, our mid 30s, and it sort of like runs the gamut.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I have heard that you guys have done a lot of different like festivals and things like that. So I imagine that the crowds there get pretty interesting and diverse as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's just funny because like sometimes we'll play, at a small bar that's packed with people, or like a wedding after party, and like the energy is just really, really high, and it's small and contained. And sometimes we'll play at a county fair, and most people in front of us are in lawn chairs, So we bring the same energy to every single performance, no matter what it is. And we just kind of hope that everyone, however they want to, has a good time with us, whether they're sitting in a lawn chair or they're packed in a small bar.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you guys really like 90s music and take a lot of inspiration from 90s music, but are there any modern artists that you find yourself listening to a lot right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're, I think Nat and I are both music lovers at heart, which is why we do this. And I'm always listening to new music. I mean, right now, I'm really liking an artist called Ethel Cain. I think they're amazing. I listen to this sort of avant-garde hardcore band called The Armed. Alex G is one of my favorite artists. Bands like Wet Leg and Hotline TNT and Lifeguard. I don't know, all that kind of stuff. Lots of indie rock. I feel like I gravitate toward.
Yeah, same.
That's awesome. That is quite a variety of musicians that you just listed. So it sounds like your taste sort of covers everything.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's important for me to sort of stay on top. And I'm usually listening to college radio up here in Boston, where I'm based. So that's always a huge help. I think people need to listen to the radio more.
Yeah, I definitely can get behind that message. So what is your like dream crowd atmosphere? I know you said that you bring the same energy to every show, but if you could have any energy brought back towards you, what are you looking for?
I think I think a crowd that brings a lot of energy is going to get a lot of energy back from us. Like a loud crowd, a rowdy crowd. A crowd that's engaged is always going to, whether it's us or any other artist you'll see, the more engaged the crowd is, the more fun the band is going to be, because the band is going to be feeling that and giving it back. You know what I mean? It's a symbiotic relationship. So when we've got a crowd that's like moving around and making noise, that's always the dream.
Yeah, absolutely. It's give and take.
Yeah.
You guys travel a lot. Is there any downsides to that? How do you normally travel? Do you tend to fly? How do you get around?
I think it kind of depends on the events where we're going. Again, most of us, are based in New York, while we have bands sort of all around the country. But we'll travel in vans if the trip deems that to be the most appropriate method of travel. So we're pretty used to, like most bands, packing all of our gear into a van and driving 8+ hours to the show.
Yeah.
But we're thankful that we're also allowed to get on a plane and fly to a show and have backlines set up for us and everything. So it kind of depends on the event, where we're going, where we're all coming from. I think we're really lucky that we get kind of the best of both worlds of that sort of touring mentality of packing into a van, but also being able to, have a few luxuries of staying in hotels and flying to shows.
Yeah. So it's not so much living out of a suitcase as maybe some other people do, hopefully. Anyway.
Yeah.
What was the last show that you guys did? Myrtle Beach, right?
No, Myrtle Beach will be the day before we come to Packapalooza.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was just in the Hamptons in Long Island on Saturday. We played this legendary club called the Stephen Talkhouse out there. And I was out there on Saturday night, and it was a very raucous and loud night.
That's awesome. So you guys said that you have other bands. Sort of, what's that like? Just other bands inspired by Saved by the 90s or who are offshoots?
Well, there are actually other branches, I guess you could call them, of Saved by the 90s. Essentially, one of our other partner, who I mentioned before, Danny, who also went to Berklee College of Music with us, he left New York for San Francisco. And when he did that, he said, I really want to keep doing this. I want to stay in this business with you guys. I'm going to put together a band out in California, and it's going to be Saved by the 90s, and we're going to play over there. And so we worked on it for 6 months to a year with him. And that was kind of how it started, where we would have different bands that were all Saved by the 90s based in different areas of the country that would tour regionally. So all of these bands will, get in their vans with their stuff and play the Saved by the 90s show in markets that we couldn't necessarily get to easily from New York. Yeah, and it's been great because now Saved in the 90s can happen simultaneously around the country, 2 or 3 or 4 times over on the same exact date at the same time.
Wow, that's really cool. I've never really heard about a project that's like that. Um, do you guys sort of manage that, or does each branch do its own thing? How does that work?
A little bit of both. Alex and I manage it with Danny, and so when it comes to marketing and when it comes to big picture stuff, we'll all be in touch. But when it comes to just like boots on the ground, the show happening, they'll run it pretty independently.
Wow. So Saved by the 90s is more like a mission to spread cool 90s music than an individual
Exactly.
band?
I couldn't have said it better myself.
That's really awesome.
Thank you.
Are there any rituals that you have that you do before shows? Do you guys ever get stage fright still after however many shows? Does that still happen to you?
Every once in a while, you'll get a queasy feeling in your stomach, depending on how your day's going or what we're about to walk out to. But I think as far as a pre-show ritual, yeah, we typically all get together right before we walk on stage, and we put our hands in and we do a little chant. And so a long time ago, before we adopted the name Saved by the 90s, we called ourselves the Bayside Tigers, which was the sports team from Saved by the Bell, and the football team, sorry, and so what we do is we say "Go Bayside" with all of our hands in, like a football chant before we walk onto the field, which is always fun. It's a nice way, again, no matter what kind of a day you're having before that, you get in, you clear your head, you realize that you're in this with a team, and you walk out together and you put on the best show you can.
Wow, that sounds like a really good ritual, and it's cool that you guys were named after something so specific at one point in time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
What are some of the other things that you guys are into outside of music? Do you guys do a lot of other things when you're not performing?
Yeah, I'm a big reader. I actually own a bookstore in New York City, so that's my day job when I'm not playing music with these goofballs.
Wow. What is your bookstore called?
It's called Book Club Bar. It's a bookstore and a bar, and it's in the East Village of Manhattan.
Wow, that's a really interesting concept.
Thank
Uh,
you.
is there any?
And
Oh, I'm so
I
sorry.
was
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I actually work in the music industry up in Boston. I am a talent buyer, so I book shows at a music venue for a living. But I mean, really, I spend my time. I've got a 1.5-year-old at home, and he eats up all my time, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a full-time job. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about today?
I think just that we're so excited to play. We're so excited to play in a new city and for such a prestigious and amazing university. So we're really excited.
We are sure excited to have you, and hopefully that you enjoy Raleigh. Um, let the listeners know where they can find your socials.
Yeah, we're at Saved by the 90s on everything. It's our website, www.savedby90s.com. If you go there, you can find a lot of the songs that we regularly play. You can see all of the special guests that we've typically performed with, some of which we mentioned on this call. Like Nat said, we're appreciative, and we cannot wait to get down to NC State. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely, it's been such a pleasure for talking to you guys. Thanks so much for calling in today.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. All right, that was Saved by the 90s. Thank you so much for listening. And I have been DJ Sharkbite, and this has been an interview by WKNC. Thank you so much.